Alright, bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today I'm going to talk about what kind of food you should best store in your pantry for long-term survival plans. But before we start, if you're interested in detective stories, there will be a link to my book on Bloody Crosses in the description. Also a link to my survival courses if you live in Belgium. So take a look in the description, I would say. So, long-term survival foods. There is a whole lot of things that you can store in your preps or pantry for long-term survival. But what are the things that they need to tend to last long and have other benefits that you get the most buck for the least kind of amount of food that you will have? Well, I made a list about all the foods that I would put, or better said, have in my pantry. And yeah, first of all, the things that your food need to be have the qualities of is it needs to be long lasting. So I would say foods that stay good at least for 5 to 10 years at least. And there are certain foods we will talk about that can even last to 35 days. And second thing is it needs to be stored correctly. So the packaging or the nature of the food need to be long lasting without getting fungus, getting bacteria, pathogen contaminant, or that kind of stuff. So, and also what I also like, the third thing is nutrients or calories, because sometimes some foods have a lot of calories, but not many nutritional value, and other foods have many nutritional value, but not much of the, how do you say this, of the calories. So you need to balance it a little bit out. And of course, price tag, because we are going to talk more about cheaper food that you get, but food that is that can be trusted in a way. So we're not going to talk about these how do you call it, deep fries, no, freeze-dried foods and all those specialist foods. We're going to talk about things that most people can afford, and that is the premise we're going to work with it. So I made a whole list of things that I store, and it is the things that I store because I recently made a video on a lot of my canned food that went expired, because I usually, because I started gardening a few years ago, I started to get some good harvests, so I eat a lot of fresh food. I got my guinea pigs that I can and have fresh meat of. I got my eggs from my chickens and so on. I can gather a lot of food by foraging around. So in that regard, I have a lot of fresh food. But the problem was I had a lot of foods in my pantry that were canned food or some other types of food that were spoiled. I made a video about what to do with it. So you can still reuse it in a way that is meaningful to your survival plans. But these are the foods that can last for a long time. Alright, let's start from left to right. So foods that I would say to keep are oils and fats. So you need to know some sort of oils can degrade very fast, but there are certain oils which the packaging says it will degrade very fast, but as we all know, you don't really have to look at the end buy date, because sometimes it is just a marketing trick that you will throw it away, buy more, and sometimes it is just out of safety that they will say it will last to this point, but it can last many years, so they will not get sued by the companies if somebody do get something that will degrade a little bit faster than the normal packaging. So olive oil, yeah, I have them in glass bottles and in cans like this. So yeah, I have many bottles and cans of olive oil, and I've been using them, even those that are well over their buy-in date. But as long as you store, this is for almost any food, if you store them in a dark, dry, cool place where the temperature always stays the same, like a basement, in the right packaging. For example, don't open one up and put it back. If you're going to open one up, use it till the end and then use the next one. So those are just common sense things that will help you make it last longer. So olive oil. Another thing that can last long is buttered powder. So these are one of those special special kind of, how do you say this, packaged food, but I would say get a can of these to always have a way to bake things, even when you don't have any oils or fats laying around, and this can last for over 15 years. So this is like half a kilo of butter powder. It will. I have not tried it out yet, but I heard it's. From what I heard, is it does not taste exactly like fresh butter, but during survival situation, this will make do. Another thing is coconut oil, and the thing is, even when it's degraded or expired after so many years, you can still have so many uses for it. Like for I made a video about this, like sunscreen, use it for candle wax, or for many other things. I would say look at the video. So coconut oil is also one of those good things, and these can store for many years. Next thing, we're going to drinks. Instant coffee. This can last for 20 years if you don't open it up and keep it in a cool, dry place. So for all the coffee junks, there will be coffee even after the apocalypse. But bad news is it will run out very fast, because when people start drinking coffee, they cannot stop. The same thing goes for a dried tea powder. I don't usually drink from these. Normally I would drink fresh, not really freshly, but from those tea bags. But when the supply line is out and you want some tea, this will help you on. This is citron tea, lemon tea in powder form. So yeah, it's like instant tea, which I would like to drink during the apocalypse, so to say. This is Kool-Aid. This is like a lemonade powder. This can last also for a very long time. Also depending on what's inside of it. Certain types have some fruits, kind of, how do you say this, elements to them, which can degrade faster, so you have to watch out for those. But if you want some lemonade or some quick sugar rush during the disaster, this is your way to go. And it can replace a lot of. You just have to mix it with water, and then you have a lot of soda, so to say, to drink. So you don't have to store bottles of lemonade inside of your pantry. So that's a good thing. Milk powder. This is one that I put the air out, but milk powder is also one of the things that can last a decade at least in your basement, as long as you don't open up the sealed package. But I would say also watch out for which kind of milk powder you use. Don't use one of those baby formulas; those degrade much faster. Just get regular milk powder, and it's how do you say this? Milk powder without fat will also last longer, because fat degrades faster. So yeah, if you want to milk powder, or if you have, I forgot to put it in here, chocolate powder, you can mix it with the milk, and you have how do you say this, chocolate milk. But watch out if you're going to take chocolate milk powder that has milk inside of them. That can also degrade faster, but as long as if you keep it separate, you can deal with it much better. Next thing I would say are some spices. For example, salt. I have buckets of salt, which can be used for not only for flavoring food, but also to get your electrolytes in order. If you work all day in the sun and sweat a lot. Also for preservatives, to preserve meat that you catch, and all that kind of stuff, and some other cleaning agents. But salt, you should definitely have a lot of salt in your pantries. It's one of the things that my grandfathers and mothers said that they always stored when there was the First and the Second World War, and that is salt and sugar. But we're going to do that later on. Pepper has some good nutritional value, but can also have turn even the blandest meal into something more spicy. Talking about spices, have some spices like paprika or chicken spices, or however you say this, or chili powder, whatever powder you have to make flavor. I would say store some of it. Now we're going to more sugary stuff. First of all, honey. but I'm talking about real honey, not that glucose stuff from the shops. Real honey can last indefinitely. So if there is one of the top 5 foods that I would put in my pantry, it would be honey, because I made a whole video about all the good properties of honey and what you can do with it. So I would say look it up, and you will find everything that you can do with honey, from healing wounds, for making electrolytes, sugar drinks like grog. I made a whole video about that. So yeah, this will store indefinitely if you use real honey. Like maple syrup is also a good one. It's containing a lot of sugar that will, during a disastrous scenario, give you a lot of energy. And I would say keep it in one of these glass bottles, and it will last for many years. It is the king, in my opinion, the king of preps, white rice. White rice, if you store it correctly in a vacuum bag, in a cool, dry place, it can last for 35 years. So get your rice, and for all the people who don't believe it, because usually on the package of rice it says only a few years, but I've been eating rice that I had for almost 10 years, and it's still just good, the same, tastes the same, is the same, never got sick, and I stored it correctly, by the way, so that's something that you need to take in account. So white dry rice is a very good one. Oh, and it is quinoa. Quinoa is one of those, I think they call it superfood or whatever, but it's the same properties as rice in a way, so it's just a little bit less tasty in my opinion, but you can, if you store this correctly in a vacuum sealed container, you can store for many years, and also is very nutritious, calories, all that good stuff. Next one. I said I would not talk about survival foods from freeze-dried, but these are one of those emergency rations. I would say get a few of these if you are able. These are a little bit more expensive, but I would say these are. I made a whole video about this kind of stuff and all the reasons why you should have a few of those at least. And these are 2,300 calories, have all the nutrients inside of them, minerals, vitamins, iron, calcium, all that stuff what you need for a person for one day. So I would say get a few of these, and these can last up to for 20 years. So when the harvest is bad, you want these kind of stuff with you. Next thing, oatmeal. I have a lot of oatmeal in my pantry, because oatmeal is one of those things that you can store for a long time, have a lot of calories, carbs, and they also contain some essential vitamins and also B12 and that kind of stuff. And you can do a lot with it, and you can even eat it just mixing with water, and with potable water, by the way. And you can make a porridge, or you can thickening some meals that you make, or with the milk powder. You can do many things with this, and it's one of those things that saved the Japanese army during World War II on their ships, because they had a certain disease. I think it's called biribiri. Biribiri, and it's one of those diseases that they got from mostly eating rice, and they got a deficiency of B12, for example, and if you put this with your rice, you can help that. So it can also be stored for a very long time. Next, dried beans. Dried beans can be stored for many years. I would even say decades, as long as you store them correctly in a closed-off sealed package. And yeah, like I said, but the only downside is if you're going to try to eat these, you have to really boil them to make them soft, otherwise you will break your teeth. So that's something that you need to take into account, but these are good type of fooding was like a staple food is what I'm trying to say. Next thing, potato flakes. This is a package with potato flakes, and I would say if you're going to get potato flakes that you can store for many years, I would say get them in these small kind of Mylar bags, because if you take a big bag, then yeah, you open it up and it will get bad because you open the package. So I would say get the package, get it in small packages so you can open it up, because for in certain portions for how many you're going to eat, because you're going to change to foods, so you will not get food fatigue. I made a video about that, and it's very cheap, and you can do a lot of things with this. Oh, if you mix this with water, mix it up with chili flakes, oh, it's very good. Next thing is a fishing can. I'm not really a fan anymore of canned foods, because most of my canned foods, like I said, I don't use. But if there's one exception, it would be canned fish. These are mackerel fillet in oil, and yeah, these can last for a very long time. These usually last for 6 to sometimes even 7 years, and yeah, you got all the proteins inside of them, the fish, the oil. So yeah, why not? It's cheap, it can last long, and I would say this is one of the few cans that I still would going to keep with me. Pasta can last for 50 years if you store it correctly, and yeah, pasta is a good filler, but it's more like, it's the same thing as rice. It's more calories than nutrition, so you will always have to mix it with other foods or plants to make it more or nutritional with vitamins or some other minerals. So that's something that you need to take into account if you're going to store these. Next thing is egg powder. These are a little bit more specialized and a little bit expensive, but it can help to have a certain amount of egg powder that you can on a certain base use for protein and others kind of nutritional values. So yeah, I would say keep some just to be sure if you want to celebrating omelette. I would say the most things we talked about were good in calories and some were good in nutrition, but you also need some vitamins and some other nutritional values. And I would say if you're going to do that and you don't have fresh food, I would say get a few things of these, like these are freeze-dried garlic, but you can also have these in onion and some other types of food, can last for much longer. And I would say use them not only for flavor but also for like with the rice and with the pasta, to keep some nutritional value inside of them. So that way they can last longer than canned food in a way if fresh food is not available. Next, that is sugar. These are packaged, so sugar can also be stored very long, as long as you package them in a way that moisture cannot get to them. So that's also the reason why they are in these vacuum packs. Next thing, chocolate, and I would say chocolate should be used as more of a celebratory treat rather than a food staple. But I think I made a video about this, about comfort food, and chocolate could be one of those things that you can say every once a week we're going to together eat some chocolate, and it's something to look out for, helping against food fatigue. So yeah, black chocolate, I would say don't use milk chocolate or some chocolate with other things inside of them. Just pure black chocolate will last the longest instead of white and milk chocolate. Meal. I think it's meal. How do you say this? To make bread. I think it's called meal flour. That's it. So flour is also something that you can store for a very long time, as long as you package it correctly in a dry, cool place, in a sealed off container, perhaps some oxygen absorbers inside of them. So you can still make bread, flat bread, or you can make one of those, how do you say this, those not crackers, but those things that I will get to the name eventually, I think. Yeah, they call those things that they used on sea travels. Hardtacks, that's the name. Sorry, it took so long. And for the last thing, I would say get some hard liquor. But hard liquor can also be used for disinfecting wounds, but it can also be good for morale and also a little bit calories. And like I said, comfort foods can also be used for celebratory, but you have to watch out that you don't get addicted by it, especially during stress. But if you're going to store alcohol, I would say get hard alcohol. The four things that I definitely would advise, and I only brought 2 bottles, is vodka, gin, but we call it Genever. And that is, I would say, get gin that is made out of grain, because gin that is made out of grain will will get better after each year. So it's something that will stay longer, stay good for the longer that it exists. And the other 2 things I would say is a rum or whiskey, and those are everything above 40 degrees is game actually. So no, don't store things like wine or some other low alcohol things or beer, because those will not last for many years, but these will last probably for decades before they start to lose flavor or they have some problems with the ethanol. So except for the gin, of course, and the whiskey. So those are the things that you usually can store for a very long time. So like I said, these are the things that I store for with the planning to store it for many years. Most things are about between 10, 15, 20 years, and some even 35 years. Just think of these things as a sort of insurance. But don't forget to rotate some stuff that will not last that long. Otherwise, you will have the problem that, like I had, that you have to throw a lot of away. But I reuse them for my chickens and stuff, so it's not a big loss, but it's more like expensive chicken feed in a way. All right. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah. You use this food more as an insurance in case there is a disaster helping. Is in the, whether it's like bargaining, if it's a crossover to help you make a garden or raise animals so you can get more fresh food in a way. So in that way, it's an insurance policy in a way. This kind of foods, and also if you don't feel like going to the grocery store, or you have some financial problems because you had perhaps a big fine, you had some big taxes, or you lost your job, or whatever you're doing that you're in financial problems, you can skip with this kind of food. You can skip a few weeks or even months of grocery bills, and that way you can pay that back. You can and keep your financial a little bit stable is perhaps what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I hope this video gave you some ideas about what to do. Everybody can do what they want, but in my opinion, this is usually the best way to store things, and instead of going fully canned food or things that you always like. But yeah, these are the foods that are essential, but yeah, can be risky for food fatigue if you do not have enough variety in it. So I'm going to stop ranting now, and if you have any other tips to put in my survival pantry, please let me know in the comments. Always eager to learn, and like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and see you in the next video. Cheers!